Hello students, welcome to today's chemistry session. So we have been dealing with the chapter Structure of an Atom, wherein, recalling the chapter, we have studied about the different models which led to the structure of an atom. Still we are studying it on. So we have completed with the two models. One was the Thomson's model, which is also called the plum pudding model, okay, wherein we say that the atom is actually a positive sphere wherein the electrons are embedded in it, okay, just like how you have a plum pudding. In the same way, the next one was the Rutherford's atomic model, wherein we conclude that there is something in the center wherein the whole mass is being concentrated in the center, and that center is called the nucleus. And where are the electrons? Electrons are revolving around in circular paths called orbits. And the third one was the electrons and the nucleus will have an electrostatic force of attraction between them. Okay. Then later on there were drawbacks which led to the failure of this model, that is Rutherford's, wherein the electrons will be moving with the force of acceleration. So if it moves with the force of acceleration, after some time, at a point of time, it loses energy. The electrons lose energy. So there is no stability of an atom, and hence the atom wouldn't exist. So the Rutherford's model does not give an idea about the electronic structure of an atom. So that was the main problem regarding the Rutherford's model. Then later on we studied about the different terms, that is atomic number, mass number, the isotopes, isobars, yeah, and also we have solved few problems in the class and also in the worksheets in order to find out the number of electrons, protons and neutrons, and to solve or represent some of the elements. So there were few doubts with the students asking about whether if it is an ion, okay, if an atom is if it is a charged particle or an ion, then the number of protons and electrons will vary, children. Remember that. If it is in a neutral atom, the number of protons and electrons will be equal. But if it is an ion, what do you mean by ion? Actually, it is losing or gaining of electrons. So if it is an ion, they will have extra number of electrons or they will have less number of electrons. So you should note that if there is a change in the number of protons and electrons, then obviously it is an ion. If the number of protons and electrons are equal, then it is a neutral atom. Okay. So this idea you should have. No problem. Let us move on with the next topic of today's, that is the next model, Bohr's atomic model. But before getting into Bohr's atomic model, we should actually know few of the concepts which were which have come before this Bohr's atomic model, which are really important. Okay, later on in your studies, this concept is really important. So understand it now very clearly, very slowly. So that is the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation. So these are the developments which led to the Bohr's atomic model. So first we have to study about the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation. Now, you know that light is also a radiation. Okay. Why is it called as an electromagnetic radiation? Because it consists of electric fields and magnetic fields both together. Okay. They are influenced by these electric field and magnetic fields. That's why light is also an electromagnetic radiation. This you remember first. Now, when we say this dual nature of electromagnetic radiation, which means, okay, that light, if you take an example of this light is an electromagnetic radiation. Before, there was a confusion between the scientists saying that first Newton gives a theory called as corpuscular theory, okay, wherein he says the light is actually made up of particles, or he also terms it as corpuscles or particles. Light is made up of particles, he says. But later on, okay, there was another scientist who gives an explanation saying that he studies about this light, whether it is made up of particles or no, and studies few of the properties. But later he comes to a conclusion that light is not only made up of particles, it has a wave nature too. Okay, wave nature too. It acts like a wave too. this led to this concept which is called the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation. So totally, when we talk about the dual nature, this means that light is actually made of particles, or it acts like a particle, and also it has a wave-like nature. Both particle and a wave nature the light has, or the electromagnetic radiations will have this both characters. So this was told by the scientists. Now when we talk about a wave, let us first finish with the wave theory, and then let us move on to this particle theory. Then we will come to a conclusion about the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation. So for now, we will talk about the wave nature of the electromagnetic radiation. Now imagine you have a still pond. What do? You're sitting beside and then throwing a stone on the still pond. Okay, into the still pond. Now, as you throw the stone to this pond, you see that there is a disturbance occurring in that particular medium, right? You see that the waves are being propagated. When you see propagating, that means the wave doesn't end there. It keeps on propagating, it keeps on moving. Okay, so this was told. This is what the concept is. In the same way, if you talk about light also travels in a wave nature. So, can I represent wave something like this? See here, you have a wave, something like this. It keeps on propagating, you see. Okay. So, if I have to represent a wave along this axis, now this may be my axis. So, here the upward displacement whichever is taking place, that is called the crest. Crest, C-R-E-S-T. And the downward displacement, or this one, downward displacement is called the trough. T-R-O-U-G-H, trough. So, a wave is actually made up of an upward displacement which is called crest, and the downward displacement which is called a trough. Okay, is this clear? So, this is one wave. One crest and one trough makes up one wave. Similarly, one crest, one trough makes a wave. Okay, very clear? Now, if you are talking about this wave, okay, you have to actually study what are their properties. Now, when we actually hear about these radio stations, they say the radio waves are in the frequency of so much hertz. Okay, you must have heard about it. Okay, so these are some of the parameters which is to be understood about the wave nature. So let us look into one by one the parameters which are very important. So starting with the first one, you have frequency. Now when you say frequency, okay, it is actually the number of waves, okay, that pass through a particular point in unit second. That is 1 second. In 1 second, how many waves are possible? That is called the frequency. Okay. So, if I have to talk about number of cycles in the sense, if it is said to be a cycle, that means one crest and one trough is being present, right? Alternatively. So, here how many cycles are there? 1 cycle, 2 cycles. So, in 1 second, how many cycles are possible? Okay, through a particular point. Now this is a point of direction. Then how many cycles are possible? That is called the frequency. Frequency of a wave, which is denoted by the symbol nu. It is Nu. You pronounce it that way. Nu. And it is given as a small letter B or something. Okay, something like that. So this is nu, and the unit of frequency is hertz. Hertz. H-E-R-T-Z. You must have heard about this, hertz. Okay, so the unit of frequency is hertz, or also it is denoted as second inverse. Second inverse, okay, or per second. So this is what is frequency. So frequency, what is the symbol for denoting frequency? It is nu, and the unit is hertz or second inverse. So the number of cycles per second, okay, through a point, which is passing through a point, is called the frequency. So when you say the frequency of this radiation is so much, that means it is the number of cycles. You should remember the number of waves. Got it? Okay, let us move on to the second one, which is wavelength. Wavelength is denoted by a symbol called lambda. 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 Okay. So this is what the symbol is. Okay. Now, when you talk about this wavelength, the unit is by the meters. Okay. So wavelength is so many meters. Now, wavelength is easy to be understood, right? You actually get it by the name itself. So it is the distance between the two adjacent crests or troughs. Now, distance between the two adjacent crests in the sense this much, right? Or if you consider the troughs, it would be so much. The distance between two adjacent crests or the troughs. Now, this must be lambda. This much. How much is the wavelength? Okay. So, this is wavelength and unit is meter. How do you denote it? By the symbol lambda. So, the distance between two adjacent crests or troughs is called the wavelength. Now, when you talk about these electromagnetic radiations, they all travel with the same speed. That is the speed of light. Okay? They all travel with the same speed. Remember that. And the speed of light is actually, what is the value? 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay? Or you can also call it as a velocity. And it is denoted by the symbol c. All the electromagnetic radiations travel with the same speed, and that is the speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, which is a velocity, or it is denoted by the symbol c. What is velocity? Distance traveled by a wave. That is the in a unit time, how much distance they travel, that becomes the speed of light. So this is meter per second. That's why you have a unit of light, that is a speed of light, that is meter per second. Okay. So you have a relation between these three. One is the velocity, that is denoted by c. What is this? Frequency, and this you have wavelength. So there is a relation between them, which is c is equal to nu lambda. Okay. So here, what is the value which remains constant for everything? That is the speed of light, right? Right? 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second remains the same. Speed of light remains the same. The values, these would vary. So you can also write it as, if you have to find the frequency in a particular electromagnetic radiation, okay, or in a wave, then you use this formula. You just rearrange them. If you want this nu, you write it as c on lambda, right? C by lambda. Or if you want to find the wavelength, then you write it as c by nu. So here this value remains constant, and then you substitute the other values. Which value remains constant? Speed of light. Okay. So by this relation you can actually see that this nu and wavelength are inversely proportional here. Right? It is 1 by lambda. Okay. So here if the value of frequency increases, then what happens to the value of wavelength? Decreases, as they are inversely proportional. So as you can see, if the frequency keeps on increasing, that means number of cycles keep on increasing, what happens to the wavelength? They decrease. So it would be something like this. Wavelength will decrease. Okay, the distance between two adjacent crest or trough will decrease as there is more frequency. Number of cycles is more. Okay, so the wavelength decreases. But if you compare this equation here, as the wavelength increases, the frequency decreases. That means it is like the wavelength increases, frequency will decrease. That means they take a very short frequencies in order to move or in order to propagate. So here, as the wavelength increases, the frequency decreases. So this relation you should remember. So you will have to solve many of the problems regarding these wavelength and frequencies. So you should remember this relation. So as the frequency increases, the wavelength decreases. So as they are inversely proportional to each other. Now you want to know what is the velocity? The distance traveled by a wave, which is the speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So this is the value. Okay. And last one which you have is the wave number. Wave number, what is the symbol? This is frequency, nu. Now you have a bar on that, so you say nu bar. Okay, so wavelength is actually meter, but when you talk about the bar, then it becomes meter inverse. The unit will be meter inverse. So what is this wave number actually? It is the inverse of this wavelength, or number of wavelengths in unit centimeter. If suppose you take 1 centimeter, what is the number of wavelength? Wavelength, number of wavelength in a unit centimeter. So you have a relation again, okay, in order to find this, very easy. So here you have u bar. In order to find the wave number, it is the inverse of the wavelength, okay. Wavelength is lambda, so 1 by lambda. So wave number can be calculated by this formula. So these are the parameters which is to be remembered, okay, which are very important too in order to understand this concept. And also you have another parameter which is nothing but the amplitude. Amplitude in the sense it is the height of a particular crest or thrust. Now this much is the height or the amplitude we say, okay. So this actually shows the intensity of this particular wave. How much intense is this wave? That is shown by this amplitude. Amplitude is totally the height of a wave. Okay, so all these are the parameters which is to be remembered. Now let us actually move on to what is an electromagnetic radiation. Now James Maxwell in around 1870, okay, he finds that whenever a particle is said to be under an acceleration, okay, under a force of acceleration, they actually produce this electric and magnetic fields, okay. Whenever it is a particle is accelerating, it is said to be constituting both electric and magnetic fields. So in the same way, okay, when we talk about the wave nature, these will have both the electromagnetic fields as well as the magnetic fields. Now if I just give you an example, okay, just look at this, okay, the wave is propagating in that way. So here these lighter waves are the magnetic fields, magnetic field component, and the darker wave is actually the electric field. Okay, they both are actually perpendicular to each other. They travel in such a way that the electric field and the magnetic field are both perpendicular to each other. Now if I just have to tell you, imagine, this is the propagation of the wave. It is going this way and you have an axis over here. So the electric fields, okay, they are actually traveling something like this. If this is an axis, it is traveling straight, something like this. Okay, the wave is actually moving like this. This is one electric field. Now magnetic field would be something like this. It is traveling in this way, okay, like this, 1, 2. Electric field is like this. Okay, magnetic field is like this. So some imagination you have to relate it to this image. Okay, imagine the electric field is traveling exactly straight to this axis, and the magnetic field will be perpendicular to this. Okay, if this is an axis, it goes like this. They both are perpendicular to each other. So you will actually find two waves. If you see, you actually find two waves there. But the total resultant wave is actually one. But what you are actually mentioning here, that they are made up of these electric fields, also magnetic fields too. So a wave consists of, that's why we call them as electromagnetic radiations, because there is electric field as well as the magnetic fields. So how are they, related to each other? They are perpendicular to each other, and also these two, electric field and magnetic field, they are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the light. Now imagine this is the side of propagation. They are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light too. They are perpendicular to each other too, and also to the propagation of light, direction of propagation of light. So this is one of the characteristics of this electromagnetic radiation. And also, they do not require any medium in order to travel. Okay, they do not require a metal in order to travel. The waves do not require any medium actually. Even if you talk about this light actually passes through the vacuum and then it reaches us through an empty space, right? It doesn't require any medium, which actually passes through the empty space directly from the sun. Okay, and also they travel with the same speed. As I told you, all the electromagnetic radiations, they travel with the same speed. That is the speed of light, which has a value of 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So those are the characteristics of electromagnetic radiations. Here what you have to remember is a wave will consist of both electric and the magnetic fields, which are actually perpendicular to each other, and also these electric and magnetic fields are also perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light. So this is what you have to remember here. So the complete arrangement, now you have got to know that a wave can have varying frequency, varying wavelength. So you have a set of different, electromagnetic radiations which are brought up by the different values of frequencies and wavelengths. So the arrangement of these electromagnetic radiations in order of the increasing wavelength, or we say decreasing frequency. As I told you, it is inversely proportional. If wavelength is increasing, then frequency has to be lesser. So here, the arrangement of these electromagnetic radiations in the order of increasing wavelength, this side is increasing wavelength, and decreasing frequency, this side is a decreasing frequency, is called the electromagnetic spectrum. The arrangement of these is called the electromagnetic spectrum or spectra. Okay. So here you see, this is how the electromagnetic radiations are being arranged. Okay. And this together, this whole arrangement is called the electromagnetic spectrum, and you see that there are different rays which are in the different values of wavelengths and frequencies. Now imagine if this is a values of increasing wavelength, then you have the value starting from 10 to the power 2, and then you have 10 to the power minus 10, it goes to the minus values. Okay, so we say increasing wavelength. Wavelength is termed with the symbol that is lambda, and it is given as meter. Frequency, second inverse, which is given as nu. So here you have decreasing frequency starting from 10 to the power 26 to 10 to the power 6, which is actually decreasing. Now, so these are the different waves which are obtained in different values of these. So here, as you can see, the visible region, okay, that is around 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power minus 10, in that range of these wavelengths, you actually find these visible rays. Visible rays are the ones which are actually visible to us, the human eye. That's why you have a different set of colors starting from the big geon. Okay, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So this is how the radiations are actually visible. So in this particular frequency or the wavelength range, it is actually visible to our eyes. Okay, other than that, the radiations are not actually visible. It is visible through other medium, but this is directly visible to us, and that's why they are called as visible rays. Okay, so this ranges from around 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. Nanometer in the sense 10 to the power minus 9, 700 nanometer. So starting from violet, which is from 400 nanometer, till the red, which is 700 to 750 nanometer. So this is a range which is actually visible to our human eyes. So here comes the visible rays. So before that we have UV rays, which is also called ultraviolet rays. Ultraviolet rays are from the sun, which is having lesser wavelength when compared to the visible rays. So you have ultraviolet radiations, then you have X-rays which have a higher energy, and they are produced when these radiations hit a metal target. So they have a higher penetrating power. So these are the X-rays. We will not go much deeper into how these X-rays and what are the properties of these particular radiations, just to have an idea of how this spectrum is being arranged. Then you have the gamma rays, which are actually radioactive radiations, we say. They are very radioactive, very high energy. Okay, gamma rays. Then you have the cosmic rays, which are present in the outer sphere of the earth. So they keep falling onto earth, cosmic rays, you see. So those are another one. And next to visible you have infrared. Infrared rays are also called IR rays. Infrared. Infrared radiations are the one which have usually the heating effects. They have the thermal effects, or they are also called heat radiations. They have more of heat radiations, heat related radiations. And then you have microwaves. Microwaves are used in telephone circuits, okay, and also radars, okay. In those, microwaves are being used, and radio waves, obviously they are used for broadcasting. So this is a set of the different frequencies and variants, and also the different types of radiations falling under that set or range of these frequencies. So this is to be remembered, and this is what is called as the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. So I hope this much is clear. Okay. Please go through the video once again if you don't understand it. Make the points very neatly, and let us move on or continue with the next topic. That is, we will have to solve few of the problems, which I will do it in the class itself. Okay. So until then, take care and study well. See you in the next class. Thank you.